Hey guys, I wanted to capture the sounds of Africa. I wanted to capture the sounds of Africa for you so that you can hear. Can you hear the birds in the background? Can you hear them? I have to be a little bit quiet. So let's watch. Listen. Those are the noisemakers who would have gone for detention. Yeah? So many birds in the air. Oh my God. Let's see if I can capture them. But you know what? These guys are not easy to capture, not easy to film. I hope you're well, guys. I hope you're doing good. Let's see where they are. Can you hear them? It's already sunny. It's in the morning. It's about 8:30 in the morning. Oh yeah, I can see the birds, but the sun, they're flying into the sunshine. Oh my God. They're so noisy, these guys. Oh my God, I need to come here with a camera. There's so many birds. You know, because they've cut many trees in Nairobi, what has happened is that this area of Karen has become a bird sanctuary. You know, Kenya just won the photography prize of Africa, and I understand why. It's because of the fact that there's so many birds. The trees are full of fruit. Rich, rich Africa. I think those are monkeys on that tree over there. Over there in the background, there's a tree Karibuni guys, Karibuni nyumbani, how are you doing? Today is a bright sunny day outside there. Welcome home. I am actually in my new abode. Now I move back to the house and I'm busy having breakfast. I'm actually having a boiled egg. It's right here. Let me tilt the camera a little bit. See, chipolata. Chipolata are tiny sausages. Then I'm having peanuts, a cup of Kenyan tea, which is very creamy and got a little bit of cream on the top, and a banana. This banana is not just any banana. This banana is called nyoro. Nyoro is a type of banana that is fed to children, actually. The Kikuyu tradition, which I'm very proud of, by the way. Even if I keep on saying that I want to come back as a Luo, I'm still proud of being a Kikuyu. Let's just say I'm proud of being Kenyan, yeah? So anyway, let's hope that the microphone is working this morning. Okay, so I'm going to be busy eating as we chat. Let me try and see if I can bring this down a bit. I think I have to move the camera a little bit farther out. There we go. Oh my God, finding a location. If there's anything as difficult, I really give credit to all YouTubers. Thank you, YouTubers, for all of you guys who work so hard and nobody ever recognizes your hard work. I recognize you. So let's eat. Chipolata. They're so good. I forgot to get some salt. I don't know how I'm going to survive without salt. Let me eat my peanuts. I like peanuts a lot. And I like peanuts with the shells because the shells have iron. Do you know that the peanut shell, this red shell here, when you peel it, you get rid of that important fiber. So I prefer not to peel it. Of course, you see when you buy them, like in the UK, usually they're white like that. That means they're being peeled. Otherwise, peanuts are supposed to look like that. Red or brown. These are the red type. They're so nice. These ones are just, can we say roasted? These are roasted peanuts. Roasted peanuts and tea. A very nice combination. So today, what are we discussing? So much has been going on. I'm going to talk about something a bit different. Yesterday was International Women's Day. It was on Friday, the 8th of March. What is really sad though, is that in this country of Kenya, we saw a bishop in the church, a bishop called Margaret Wanjiru, being subjected to the greatest humiliation I've ever heard of. Let me eat while I talk because it's so painful. I just wondered to myself, why do people feel that they need to humiliate a woman? If you want to get a message through to somebody, whether they're a woman or a man, why don't you just call them into a meeting? Why do you feel that you need to go to their place of work and intimidate them? Why do some people feel that they need to do that? So what happened is that there were these hired goons that went to Margaret Wanjiru's church. And I'm going to play a clip for you so that you can see what she went through. Despite the fact that I do not agree with many of the things, that she purports to defend and promote. Her political stance, I don't agree with many things about her. She's a bishop, first of all, in the church, and they usually say you should separate church and politics. But the question is, really, how can you separate church and politics when politics is always part of our lives, Politics affects the church. The church affects politics. So the question is, how can you really separate church and politics? I don't see anything particularly wrong myself with her wanting to represent her people, even if she happens to be a bishop and a Christian. The only problem is that, maybe she may not be able to dedicate as much time and energy to her church, but I really don't see in principle why she can't. What do you think? So basically, guys, I think it's okay, for people to multitask. Women are multitaskers. Yeah, you could be talking to me, I could be cooking, cleaning, looking after parents, which is what I've done. Like today, I woke up in the morning, had my shower, dressed up, took a video of the birds singing and chirping. Can you hear them? They're so cute. I'm telling you, Africa, Kenya is paradise. Kenya is a photographer's paradise, but it's also just a paradise of animals and birds and nature. And you wake up in the morning to the singing of so many types of birds, not just one type of bird or two. We're talking about 3, 4, 5 types of birds plus accompanied by monkeys. But now I'm diverting the topic. Okay, but this is serious, guys. This is about the Women's Day, the International Women's Day yesterday, and the fact that we saw a bishop being harassed, not just harassed, but humiliated to the core. A woman, a mother. Her son even works in the church. And they beat her to the point where they were actually exposing her nudity, exposing her body. Just to humiliate her. You heard what she said, that they actually put their hands up her skirt. Oh my God.
Yesterday, we were wrapped up by NIS agencies. Those are security agencies. They have an office behind us here. And they came and started demolishing the wall from the outside for our parking, our community parking. When I was on my way out of the office and I had some commotion at the back, I went to see what is happening. and I couldn't believe what happened. I was roughed up, given a thorough beating, phones taken away. I was with Pastor Major, camera confiscated and taken away. And so I started making calls to look for help. And so as I was making those calls, I happened to go out and I went to some office around the corner. I did not get much help. So I came back. On my way back, there was a car that was just stopping in front of the church. And those vehicles, we know them very well. They belong to the anti-terrorism, CIDs. This one Magarisa DCIO headquarters. And when those gentlemen came out, I was very happy because I thought they had come to help us. Actually, I greeted them. So we opened the gate and they entered. Hey, tuli chapwa leo jaona. And I must say, between the NIS, the DCIO, security agencies, and the regular police, they really had no shame, even of beating me up, beating up my staff, to an extent of lifting up my skirt. I could not believe it. At some point, I became numb. I thought I was dreaming, and it took me a while to realize reality, that actually it's not a dream. Even the ones we thought they were coming to help us, they were coming to reinforce their colleagues. So when my body came out of that numbness, I got a lot of pain. And I realized my son had been beaten, arrested, put in the boot. Joshua, my accountant, our cameras were confiscated by the same people who confiscated our phones. And my driver was beaten up. My security was beaten and his hand is broken. We have left him in the hospital, akiwekwa cast. The hand was fractured. And other staff, the admin, Pastor Major, quite a number of us. And we went to hospital, so we left the hospitals early morning. Through the night, we were in the hospital. We left the hospitals early morning. I would like to make something very clear. We, the Jesus is Alive Ministries, we have never grabbed anybody's land. Apparently, we don't even accept land that has no title deed. The sanctity of a title deed document is so important that that is the document that gives you right of a property.
Kenyans, we need to graduate from this. The Kenyan security forces, we must graduate from this. I was just thinking to myself, these men, do they not have children? Do they not have daughters? You know, these men who work in the security, who work in the INS or wherever they work, do you guys not have daughters? Do you not have children? Would you like this to happen to your daughter when she grows up? What kind of a daughter are you raising? In this economy and in this world, we need women who are fighters. We need women who can stand up against injustice. We need loud women. Just because a woman speaks loudly, like some of us, like me, African Queen Mo, just because we speak loudly, does not mean that we are trying to exert ourselves and show like we are more important than men. We of course know men and women have their specific roles to play in life. Yeah? For her, she's even supporting the government, which is amazing. Yeah? Some of us, we criticize the government, we critique it. Yeah, we critique it because we have a right. It's a free speech. You don't all have to have the same opinion. When it comes to you trying to show me or trying to discipline me or trying to talk to me or trying to confront me, To confront me means what? Confronting me means that you have to remove my clothes? That is just too low. I was just saying, you know, those men, they have families. They have daughters. I'm very sure that they have daughters. And the question is, if you have a daughter and you work in the security and you're a goon, right? She said they were young men. Some of them may not be married, may not even have children. But one day when you have your baby girl and she's born into this world and you hold her. I remember when I had my baby girl in 2010. The experience of having a baby girl was completely different from my experience having a baby boy. When I had my son, I had the most amazing, sense of, should I say, I think it was awe. It was beyond love. It was awe. I was like, what? I, a woman, gave birth to a child who's from a different gender. He doesn't have any of those parts that I have. Can you imagine? It's a miracle of nature. How a woman can give birth to a man, a boy child, and a girl child. It's a miracle of nature. Now, let's just say, as a woman, you give birth to a child and it happens to be a boy. It's amazing. Think about it, guys. We don't even think about it. We don't think about it enough. It's amazing. How is it that a woman can give birth to a male? How? Think about it. So, when you give birth to one of your own as a woman, when I gave birth to my daughter, that experience was so different. My initial overwhelming feeling for my daughter was, I need to protect this child. I just felt like the whole world was hostile against girls. And I felt I needed to protect this child. Recently in the news, there was a report about a doctor in Kenya, in Western Kenya, who decided that he was going to do something in solidarity with the boy child, which was going to even endanger the mother and the children, potentially. He was delivering a woman who was having a set of twins, boy and a girl, okay? And he decided to do an overreach into her womb to remove the boy child first, so that the male child, would be the firstborn in the family, and then remove the girl. And many doctors came on there and said this is completely not just unethical, but extremely dangerous, both for the children, the babies, and their mother. Okay? And this is completely against the medical profession's teachings and rules, that you're actually supposed to go for the child that presents itself first. But I could not believe that a whole doctor, a man, male doctor, young one, I even downloaded his picture. I'm going to put it here for you. He decided to overreach into the womb of a woman, okay, on whom he was conducting a cesarean section, to remove a boy, a male child, okay, overreaching him just so that he could be in solidarity with the boy child movement in Kenya. Let me tell you guys, this is what you call, it's a sort of, extremism. Extremism is not just religious. It's also in your belief systems, This is violent extremism being practiced by a doctor in Kenya. We have seen violent extremism against the female gender in Kenya. We have seen violent extremism by the police, by the people who are supposed to be protecting you, by the people who are supposed to be delivering your baby. Women, where are we going to run to? Where? Where? There's a friend of mine who asked me to do a video. Maybe this will be the video on behalf of her organization, but she wanted just a message. I'll try to clip a message from this video. But I'm eating. The one thing women do well is eat. So, the question is, did I invite you to my breakfast? Karibuni, karibuni, karibuni. Forgive my bad manners. Welcome to African breakfast of peanuts, chipolatas, and egg, and a banana. I'm enjoying these little chipolatas. Now, guys, let me tell you, this is so wrong. This is so wrong, guys. This is so wrong. All women should fight against this. And not just women, men. Let me tell you something, guys. When I was pregnant with my little girl, there was a time that after having my baby boy, I kind of closed myself off to guys. As a father basically just left me with the child, and I was left to raise him by myself. But God is good. I didn't follow him up. I decided, you know what? I'm not going to create a rift between a child and their father. You never know in future. Maybe they'll want to relate. So I don't want to be the person who actually caused them not to relate. So basically what I want to say to you guys is, I think it's very wrong for young men to behave like this towards women, towards their mothers, and towards ladies generally. When a woman is in your care as a doctor, you have a responsibility to ensure that she survives and that her children survive. Because actually, through your hands are supposed to be healing hands. Through your hands, you perpetuate society. You help society, to function and to grow and to become a place of justice and equity as a doctor. There's no higher calling, in my view, than the healing calling. To be a healer, whether you're a nurse or a doctor, it's such a high-level calling. Higher than the president, higher than the ministers, higher than the Pope, higher than everyone. You're next to our parents, you are there. You're like, parents, children, doctors and nurses, health profession. Because without those people, the healers and the medicine men and women, we may not survive all of the things that come against us in society. All the dangers that we experience, all the risks that we go through in just to keep alive and to survive. Even animals come to people. You see them coming from the ocean. You hear of stories of a dolphin or a whale coming to a person and asking for help, or even an animal that is trapped, asking for help. It's looking for that healing hand, that rescuer. So, the other thing I want to say is this. This is now becoming a message to the men in our society. This is not even a message to women. This is a message to men. From me as a woman leader, as a leader of my family, as a strong woman, as an empathetic woman, as a woman who has a brain, who has a mind of her own. I want to say this to our men. Number one, please just show us your masculinity the way a man was created by God. The way nature creates things, creates trees and bushes and separates them. We know that nature has also created men and women and created them differently. There's nothing more beautiful than a man in his element. There's nothing more attractive to a woman than a man in his element. And the first thing that a woman should experience or should imagine or envision when she sees a man, especially a man who is strong in a position of authority, the first thing, like Bishop Margaret said, when she saw the NIS, she said, oh, these people have come to rescue us. That's exactly it. It's in our minds as women that as soon as you see a man attack you, if you see another man, you're actually looking at a rescuer. You feel safe and you run into his hands. Unfortunately, she ran into the hands of other people who had come to reinforce the evil people who had come to beat them up. Not just her. She and her staff were beaten up. One of them, his hand was broken. What about if they killed someone? Oh, God, guys. Oh, boy. And this brings to mind, there's so many injustices that have been meted on women in my country, Kenya. So many injustices. So many. Do you guys remember Professor Wangari Maathai? Do you remember her bleeding scalp when they removed her braids one by one, pulling them out? Because she was defending land. She was defending trees. And that same place is where people go now. Kenya has made money from that forest. It's a tourist attraction in Kenya now. And it lures tourists. And it's a place of solace. It's called Karura Forest. One fine day, hopefully I'll take you to Karura Forest one fine day. But Wangari Maathai never got recognition by the government. But she was recognized by the world. As a tree hugger, as the environmental champion. She was never recognized by our government. Our government even refused to give her an environmental minister's position. Because she's a woman. You see, the direction in which we are going as a country is not positive. Especially as it pertains to women. To the treatment of women. I want to call on men to really self-evaluate and think about their actions towards women and their thoughts towards women and what they write about women. You see, I'm on Facebook as well. I see a lot of posts by men saying that you should not spend money on a woman because she is going to be enjoyed by other men, no matter how much money you spend on her. You know, there's a lot of very oppressive, demeaning chatter and banter on the internet against women by our own Kenyan men. And it's really, really wrong. It's wrong, guys. It is totally wrong. Just because you have had an individual experience with a woman, okay, doesn't mean that you should take that experience and project it on social media. Because what that does is that it reinforces and empowers men, other men, to mistreat women and to suspect them and not to trust women. And to see us as the enemy. Whereas, you will never have anybody stand beside you in your old age, when you're in trouble, like a woman. You will never. That Bishop Wanjiru, who was beaten the other day, that episode, you know, I think it has shocked so many women that we are quiet. Because we cannot believe. We're waiting for the authorities to say, no, it wasn't us. I really would love to believe it's not the government. I would love to believe that it's not the higher level people, like she claims to say, that it's not people high up in government who allowed this to happen. I really want to believe it wasn't them. But, you know, because the idea of imagining that it was them is too much for me. Because you wonder to yourself, those people, they have daughters, they have mothers, they have wives that they love, by the way, that they love. Why would you intimidate a woman? What kind of coward do you have to be as a man to intimidate a woman? God already created you strong. So why would you want to intimidate a woman with your physical build, with your physical self? Why would you want to demean a woman and humiliate a mother to the point where you expose her nakedness? You know, you guys, in African culture, as much as I believe I'm spiritual, I do know that there are consequences to actions. Some of the consequences are in the physical world, some of them are in the spiritual world. Those consequences in the spiritual world are the ones that are called curses. There are things that you carry on your back. Some of us, you know, we are suffering. Even you might be suffering yourself because of the sins of your fathers and forefathers. These are the mistakes, the evils that were committed by the fathers and forefathers, such as those people who went and sold people into slavery. Yeah? We could be carrying this burden as Africans for that terrible crime to humanity that was committed in certain parts of our continent. Yeah? Where we were taking our own people and sending them off to become enslaved, to go off in chains and walk for hundreds of kilometers, so many of them dying on the road. Let me tell you, we are inheriting very serious negative consequences for ourselves, our country, and our families by continuing to humiliate women. We must put a stop to this and change the trajectory of our country. We must change the narrative. Let's change the story. Let's twist it around. Let's turn it around. I want to see men. This is what I would like to see. You see, there's this methodology that I use in research. It's called outcome mapping. Outcome mapping has this thing called the ladder of change. I want to see change, and there's a ladder. You start at the bottom, and it goes to the top. At the very bottom, yeah, maybe this is a strategy I can talk to you about. This is how we're going to change our society to become a more pleasant place for women and men. Okay, so that we don't have to call people boy child or girl child, where you're just comfortable to be yourself. Number one, we should remember that we used to have something called the Mandan Charter, which was the first human rights article. And my husband talked about it in great length in one of my videos. I'm going to link a video somewhere in the description. You can go and watch that video about the Mandan Charter and how Africans were the first people to come up with a Bill of Human Rights. And in that Bill of Rights, women and children and animals and property were all recognized as important and integral to society. And each of them was protected by rights. So, there's a Mandan Charter. Now, I'm talking about the ladder of change, okay? The ladder of change and outcome mapping methodology. I am a trainer in outcome mapping methodology, guys. This is not just a trainer, but a trainer of trainers in outcome mapping methodology. And I have a whole team behind me, a whole team beside me, actually. A whole team of us from different countries. They have, apart from what they call a strategy map that they have in there, where you have your individual responsibility and corporate responsibilities, there's also the change and how we want to see change happen in our society. The way change is going to happen in our society is in the environment. So right now, because of the hostility between men and women in our society, we expect to see hostility. We expect that already there are kind of tense relationship between men and women in our society. Okay? So we expect to see that. That's at the lowest level. This is what we are seeing right now. This is what, if you go outside, you say, yeah, I expect to see that. I expect to see that. Yeah? I expect to see women being mistreated. You expect to see, you expect to see women being humiliated. You expect to read things on social media that are anti-women. You expect. That's what you're expecting. But then what you would like to see is what you aspire to do. So what are the things that we need to do to get to the point where we'd like to see, we get to the next stage of the ladder, which is a little higher, yeah? So maybe at the medium term, a little bit higher. What do we like to see? So what do we have to do in order to get to the point where we'd like to see? I would like to see cordial relationships between men and women. I would like to see men and women holding open exchanges, open debates. I would like to see men and women being treated equally in society. I would like to see the president and the leadership, yeah, actually implement the constitutional right of the 2/3 gender rule so that we have women and men represented almost equally, if not equally, in parliament. Even better. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a change of attitude, but what are the steps that we need to do that? The steps that we need to do that is to openly come and criticize and condemn those practices that are continuing to oppress and humiliate women in our society. We see Bishop Wanjiru, okay, just lately. Before that, we had the controller of budget, Margaret, who was taken from Nairobi to Mombasa by road. Yeah, she was literally almost kidnapped and taken from Nairobi to Mombasa by road. Before that, we had a woman who considers herself to be a businesswoman who was literally tortured, Anne Jerry. Okay, so we've had so many high-profile women who are being oppressed and manipulated and intimidated. We want to say no. We want to come out openly and condemn it. I'd like to see the government take a stance and say, we are not part of this, we do not support this, and we condemn this. We will take the necessary steps to stop this injustice towards women. So that's the like to see, okay? And then now, the love to see. The love to see is the highest level of change. That highest level of change is beyond just our country and towards the whole of Africa and the whole world. We want to see a situation, I'd love to see a situation where your gender matters not. Where things like gender don't matter. Where just respect happens. Yeah? I'd love to see, where you don't even have to have it in policy that you have a 2/3 gender rule. I just would love to see that when we go to vote, we vote for equal men and women representation. I would love to see I'd love to see a society where men and women engage and laugh and have a good time and trust each other, and don't bash each other and condemn each other. And I would love to see a change in policy and laws that actually punish perpetrators of crimes against women. For those of you who would probably say, what about men? This particular one is about women, guys. And this is the reason why I'm talking mainly to the men. Because you see, men are actually the duty bearers in this situation. They have the duty. And the women have the right to protection. The men have the duty to protect. The women have the right to the protection. Because that is how it is in nature. Even when you watch a bird making a nest, like a couple bird, like male and female, and the male and the female work together, if only we would be lovebirds like those birds. I would love to see men and women become lovebirds. Now we know that's a tall order. It's a gradual shift in perspective, where I love you as a man and you love me back as a woman. Doesn't matter whether I'm your mother, whether I'm your teacher, whether I'm your doctor, whether I'm your president, whoever I am, you just love me back as a human being. And out of that, you give me my respect. Okay? And the same thing with me as a woman. I see you as a man, and I love you anyway. I think about you in a positive way. Like, for example, today, I went and I fed my parents, my dad and my mom. And after that, I went and fed the security guard. Yeah? I went and gave him something to eat. A very nice breakfast. I gave him bananas and bread, yeah, and tea. So he's good. And then from there, I came and I made my own breakfast. So I want you to know that as a woman, my job is to nurture, to look after. So I will look after somebody's son who is looking after our gate. I will consider him a human the same way that he considers me. He'll look after me and I look after him. It's an exchange. This is what I want to see. Men, I would love to see men jump to come and protect women, to take up their role. Because I think once men get into that role of protecting a woman, they feel empowered. You feel proud of yourself because you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing. Some of the empowerment that men need right now, they need the power to do things for women. I remember when I was pregnant in the US, guys, men would open the doors. That my fellow university students, males, they would open the door for me and say, okay, and they'll run. They'll see me with my big tummy and they will run ahead and open the doors. Yeah. I used to love it. I used to tell them, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel so special. Thank you so much. And guess what those guys would tell me, many of them? They'll tell me, you know what? Sometimes we're even afraid to open the door for you because sometimes we get insulted. Some women insult men for opening the doors for them because they feel like, why are you treating me different from you? Come on, man. If a man shows you love, if a man shows you priority, if a man shows you consideration, could you please, women, appreciate it? Being appreciative is the first step. We appreciate good and we also condemn the bad. We cannot appreciate evil. That's not possible because we're not called into this world to appreciate evil. If all of us could fight evil together, we'd be very, very far in this world. Very, very far. Some of the evil being perpetrated against women. Guys, let's not even talk about it. This extremism is too much. Think about your daughter. Think about your sister. Think about yourself when you were 18 or 16. Imagine being abducted from school, taken into the bush, raped. Okay? You can't call your mom. You can't call your dad. You're being raped out there. You're giving birth outside of, you're not even in a hospital. You know, just imagine if the men in the community decided to follow those Boko Haram. Come what may. Come what may. The failure of the government of Nigeria to protect its children. The failure of the government to protect its children. It's just like what happened in Kenya. Like, for example, one of the things I really love about Kenya, though, is that we have been attacked by Al-Shabaab several times. We know that. We have been attacked by terrorist groups, terrorist insurgents in Kenya. But what did the presidents do? They did what I would love to see. You know what they did? They instituted the highest level security for the whole population. In universities, in supermarkets, everywhere you go, your car has to be checked. It is checked in the boot. Anywhere, any mall you go in Kenya, the security is so tight. You see, this is exactly what we need to do for women. We need to make it so tight. Create such a tight security for women. There's the security agencies. There's the government. There's the government coming for you. Okay? And perpetrate and punishing the perpetrators of crime against women. And violence against women. Yeah. That's all I have to say for now. This is the very long message I have for you for the African Queen Mo channel. Now allow me to read my official message. International Women's Day gives us another opportunity to learn lessons from the abduction 10 years ago of 276 mostly Christian schoolgirls from Borno State, aged between 16 and 18 years old, by militant Islamic insurgents from Boko Haram in northern Nigeria. 14 girls returned with 24 children. Their untold suffering since the Nigerian military rescued and returned most, except for 98 girls still missing, and whose fate is still unknown. Extremist violent attacks on young women and girls cast light on the government's laxity in fulfilling its promise to rescue all the girls. Violent extremism has no place in society. Violent extremism of any kind has no place in society, least meted towards the female gender in our society, that is the nurturer and the carrier of the future generations. And let us all condemn with the loudest voice possible on any social media platform that you're on, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, condemn any sort of violence meted out against women, including the murders, senseless murders of women, right in their homes, okay? By the agents who are supposed to be providing us with security, and by lovers, and by those who women love. This is African Queen Mode channel, Maureen Rangati Nyagbo, and thank you so much for your time. God bless you. Bye-bye. Toodoo.
African people, how do you do? African children, I'm saluting you. We all should try to live together, not to kill and eat one another. We are from one father and mother, so that means we are brothers and sisters. In your home, give peace a chance. On your ways,